Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today I am going to talk with you a very important and interesting social science topic, and that is uh, that is linked to our sensory and brain system. That what we think will decide it. So thinking process is very logical, impressive when we start thinking. So thinking is not a very simple, but it links with our ignitions, where the starter, which giving them the initiator and computing to let it start thinking. So something is behind, then we start thinking, and there are so many sources that who decide that our brain start thinking. Thinking brain itself not start thinking, because brain is our neutral functions. What we feed, what we give input, the brain start thinking process. So our brain work as a neutral functions body, and what we give them input and what line of direction we give them input, they start thinking in that line of directions. So simply we can say, if we give a very firm and positive and challenging input, the brain start with their activities in these directions. If we give input in sense of negative, pessimistic directions, our brain system start in such a way. So if I say I cannot or I do not eat candy, is a signal to the brain. And if I say that I will not eat candy, this is another input to the brain system. The brain will react uh, with respect to the both directions in a different way. I do not, it is very firm, that immediate action, that I will not eat candy, or I do not eat candy. And the response from the brain, if we say that I will not eat candy, the brain reacts in such a way that this is the future programs, that we will not have candy in futures. But at present, brains giving some leverage to entertain this candy right now. So the directions, the inputs to our brain system to compute it and response it is all depends upon ourselves. So sources, what we input, give program to our brain system, the brain works accordingly. So these are the simple scientific logical reasons of brain working and our directions accordingly. So when we see our social lives, when we see and we see our self-awareness and our values and attitudes and our empathy, these all social science behaviors and values, and implement in our daily life, where we deal with our children, we deal with our kids, our families, our colleagues, our subordinates. So what we expect, we need to give instruction accordingly. If we want a positive, firm and collective output, we have to give direction is that way. So our instruction, our input toward the brain is very, very important. What we input and the reaction and the response of the brain system is come out in our expecting directions. So thousands and millions of thoughts and directions we see in our lives that we give our kids, our teenagers, the order, the instruction, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It's very harmful, it's very dangerous, and you will fall in some dangers. So these are the instructions the brain of their neutral action, they respond accordingly. So when we say or give instruction to our teenagers, our children, they work accordingly. Their brain manage and keep them within comfort zone if the direction is in a negative way. And when we give the direction in a offensive and challenging, their brain work accordingly. They make them challengeable. They take out from their comfort zone and they manage their challenges in lives. So this is our what our science says about this, our being a brain, our working as a neutral, and our direction towards to give them as a feed and inputs to work accordingly. So our directions, our decisions is very, very important in our life. Make positive directions, make a very challengeable directions, and fearful challenges to our children, our kids, to make them challengeable and get out from their comfort zone, to be ready and fearless. So it's very important to never to be direct your children, kids, and your teenagers. Give them the directions and orders in such a way that their brain do not make ready to them to be get out from their comfort zone and meet the challenges. If we give them the instruction in such a way that they to be ordered to be very positive and challengeable, to that you can do this, you can write this, you can meet this challenge, you can do this right now. Don't say you will see, make it possible in future. Don't say that you cannot do this. So there should be a clear instructions and guidance to our parents to before giving some instructions that you are stupid, you are duffer, you are very bad, you are a failure. So these words immediately goes to their brain system and they perceive accordingly. So that make them very very much in their life to meet the challenges. They become very lose their strength, lose their powers, and they feel themselves that they are not capable to meet their challenges. They are not capable to get success in their life. They are because they seems to be a dapper. They seems to be very lazy, and they seems to be consider themselves very deficient in their lives and careers. So keep these things away from our lives, and always appreciate your children, kids, and your youngster your colleagues, your juniors, your subordinate, to be ready and give them the instruction in a very firm way, that they could meet the challenges of their lives, either in their educations, in their life, career life, or their project life success. So whatever we give the instructions and what we decide, our brain work accordingly, because our brain works neutrally, and what we feed, their computing system reciprocate accordingly. So be always positive and treat our children, kids, and youngsters, our subordinate, to be in such a way that their brain perceive your direction, our direction, in a very positive way, in a challenging way. That finally, I would say that we will conquer the world. It means there is some leverage in our life, but we must say that we are conquering the world. So there is a difference, that one is the future plan, and our brain will work accordingly. And when we say that we are conquering the world, our brain reciprocate accordingly, that we have to definitely do this right now, not to wait. Thank you very much.